What's going on everyone, Alex here, and today I wanted to take you through my review of the M1 MacBook Air. Now I've been using this laptop for a couple of weeks now and I have it in this gold colour, and yeah, I just wanted to give my thoughts. So if you're someone who's shopping around for a new laptop, then this video might help you. And then just to be upfront, this laptop is probably suitable for about 90% of people. So yeah, it's a really great laptop and I rate it highly. So I've broken this video down into a few different sections and I've timestamped them all down below in the description. So if you are looking for a specific topic, then you can jump straight to it. Okay, so first things first, I want to talk about the processor, and this is probably the main selling point of this new laptop. So it's the first time that Apple has made their own chips for MacBooks. So previously they used Intel chips, but now they're actually making their own, similar to like they do in the iPhones and the iPads. And basically what this means is because they control the hardware, the software, and now the chips, everything is totally optimized and really efficient and runs really smoothly and battery efficient. So yeah, the new chips have made them the fastest and most efficient laptops that they've ever made. So when you're using apps like Safari, Final Cut Pro, or any other Apple app, it runs so smoothly. Like, it's super quick, it opens up straight away, everything loads really quickly. Final Cut Pro is an absolute breeze to use, and that's all because of this M1 chip. One of the really cool things about this M1 chip is you have this always on display. So as soon as you lift the lid on the laptop, it's on, ready to go. There's no booting up time, there's no lag when you're setting it up or getting ready to go, so you're straight into whatever you need to do, which is really great, I think. And then that leads me on nicely to the battery life. So on Apple's website, they claim that you can get up to 18 hours of battery life with the M1 MacBook Air. Now that is insane, that's pretty much all day. This is incredible for such a small and relatively cheap laptop, and having used it for a couple of weeks, I can confirm that the battery life is really good. It never seems to run out. Obviously this depends on what you're doing on the laptop, so if you're doing things like video editing or watching lots of videos, it will go down quicker. But what I take from that 18-hour battery life is that if you're someone who's like a student or is going in and out somewhere for the day, you can throw this laptop in your bag fully charged and know that by the time you get home you'll still have battery life, so you don't need to be bringing a charger and you won't have that fear of running out of battery while you're out and about on a given day. Okay, so just in terms of the color, I obviously have the gold laptop here. One thing I will say is it's not really gold, I would call it more rose gold or bronze, but at the end of the day it is a nice color. If you do want to go for something different other than the silver or the space gray, I think the rose gold is a nice color. So here is just an example of all three colors that are available. Now these aren't all MacBook Airs. The silver one is a MacBook Pro from 2012. The space gray one is my M1 MacBook Pro, and then obviously the gold one is the M1 MacBook Air that we're talking about here today. Okay, so then talking about the trackpad. Now Apple are streets ahead of everyone else in terms of their trackpad. It's by far the best one that I've ever used. And the reason for that is it uses this force touch technology, which basically means anywhere you tap, you aren't actually clicking down, it's haptic feedback that you're feeling in the click, but that means you can tap anywhere on the trackpad and you get the same feel. Whereas on older MacBooks, like my MacBook from 2012, the closer you get to the keyboard, the less of a click you have because it's on a hinge. And yeah, basically you can just click anywhere, and obviously it's massive. You just have a lot more functionality than on a regular trackpad from another laptop manufacturer. The next thing I want to talk about is the keyboard. Now Apple got a lot of stick for their keyboard that they came out with in 2016, the butterfly keyboard, and they've really gone back on themselves and improved it. So now they use this kind of scissor switch, and it's a really nice typing experience. You get a nice clicky feel every time you press a button. There's good key travel, so you know you've actually pressed it, and they don't really get stuck or anything like that like they did on the butterfly keyboard. But yeah, this isn't new to the M1. This has kind of been around for the last 2 years or so. But yeah, it's something to note because it is a really nice typing experience. Then just in terms of weight, as far as a laptop is concerned, it's super light. It doesn't really weigh anything. I think it weighs like just over 1 kilo. So yeah, you can throw it in any bag and you won't really notice it. It won't weigh you down, and you can carry it around for a long time. Super portable, super easy to use. So one of the other main talking points of the M1 MacBook Air is the lack of fans.
You've got no fans!
So Apple have used this as kind of a selling point for their laptop, and basically what they're saying is the new M1 chips are so battery efficient and so power efficient that the laptop will never overheat, and therefore will never need the fans to actually cool it down. So they didn't put fans in. And then another plus of that is you have a completely silent laptop, so there's never going to be fans going if you're on calls or if you're don't want to be annoyed by different fans running, this laptop won't be noisy at all because it has no fans. Now, the negative of that is if you are doing a very intense work like editing, have lots of windows open or anything like that, it could potentially heat up and lose performance, and because it doesn't have fans, it won't be able to cool itself down. So you might lose a bit of performance, but for 99% of tasks, I've found that it never really gets hot, and obviously hasn't suffered in performance. So the way that they actually cool this laptop is they use an aluminium heat spreader that dissipates the heat throughout the laptop. It kind of passively cools the laptop, so there is a section that is kind of passively cooling the laptop, but again, there's no fans to kind of draw in air and cool the system from the inside. So the M1 MacBook Air uses the same screen as in previous MacBook Airs, and that is the 13.3-inch Retina display. So this screen is really nice to use. It has a resolution of 2560 by 1600, and it actually has 25% more colors than sRGB. Not too sure what that means, but I take it just means it has a lot of colors, so it's very color accurate. If you are doing stuff like video editing and photo editing, you know it's very color accurate. It also uses this True Tone technology, which adjusts the brightness based on the environment that it's in. So if you're in a really bright environment, it'll brighten up the screen so you're able to see it. And again, if you go into a really dark room, it'll dim down so that you're not kind of shocking your eyes with the really bright screen. So the screen can go up to 400 nits of brightness, so you can use it outside, but if it is really direct, harsh sunlight, you will kind of struggle to see the screen. I think that's just a given with most laptops. Alright, next I want to talk about the microphones and the camera on this laptop, because a lot of people are doing video calls these days, so that's something that people are looking for. So the M1 chip has helped improve the FaceTime camera, even though there hasn't been any hardware changes. So this is one of the disappointments of the M1 laptops. It's using the same camera that has been around for years, so that is the 720p FaceTime HD camera. But as I said, the M1 chip has improved the quality of the camera a bit, but yeah, bit of a disappointment. So the MacBook Air also uses a 3-array microphone system, so you can be heard much better on video calls, which is really good because obviously a lot of people are on video calls these days. Okay, so this is an example of what the camera looks like on the MacBook Air. Again, it's not that good, 720p FaceTime HD camera, and yeah, it does the job, but it's not great. And then this is also an example of how the microphones sound, so yeah, you can be the judge of that, how they sound. So this laptop has stereo speakers, which is really good for such a small laptop. They can get pretty loud and the quality is actually really good. This is quite hard to show on YouTube, so you'll just have to take my word for it. But yeah, the speakers are pretty good for such a small laptop. Next, I want to talk about the function row. So this is kind of one of the main differences between the MacBook Pro and the MacBook Air. So the MacBook Air has a dedicated physical function row. And what that means is there's actual buttons you can press to do play, pause, fast forward, screen brightness, all those kind of different functions. It's actually physical. So this is something that I really like, and the reason that I like it is because if you learn where these buttons are, you can press them without even thinking while you're looking at the screen. Whereas on the MacBook Pro, it's a touch bar, so you kind of have to be a bit more careful of what you're pressing, and you have to look at it, and it kind of slows things down. And when you just want to fast forward a song or turn up the brightness, it's much easier to press a physical button, I think, and yeah, it just speeds up the whole process. So yeah, that's a big plus for the M1 MacBook Air. Then I just want to talk about the ports. So this is probably the biggest drawback of the M1 laptops in general. They only have 2 USB-C ports. Now that just isn't enough for 99% of people. So if you are charging the laptop, you're left with only one. So what I would suggest is you buy one of those USB-C hubs or dongles, and that means you'll have HDMI, you can plug in USB-A, you can plug in your SD cards with this dongle that you can get. I got a really cheap one on Amazon, and I probably wouldn't recommend that. I would probably recommend spending a little bit of money on it, because the cheaper you get, kind of the slower the transfer speeds is, and it has the potential to kind of damage your laptop if you are using a crappy hub. So overall, I would say this laptop is amazing. As I said earlier, if you're a student, or even if you're just someone who needs a laptop for everyday use, you have really great battery life, you have amazing performance, the screen, the typing, the trackpad, everything is really good. Everything seems to run smoothly, and yeah, I could just recommend it to 99% of people. So yeah, thanks a lot for watching. That's my review of the M1 MacBook Pro. I hope you enjoyed it, and yeah, I'll see you in the next one. Cheers.